Okay, welcome back. We're going to talk a little bit about what we call shapes of distributions. And in particular, I'm going to give you a few really important terms to know. So let's set up some graphs. So let's go ahead and lay them out. Some shapes of data, and one of the more common ones that we will be talking about is actually called a normal distribution. But let's not talk about that right now. So the major distributions that we have are sort of bell-shaped and symmetrical. Looks like this. So we call it bell-shaped and symmetrical. In this case, this is what we would call unimodal. It's just one mode, right? Which we already talked about, I think. Right, so this is unimodal, one mode. And this one has no skew. Skew has to do with where the mode is in terms of, or in particular where the mean is, and the mode, I guess, in terms of where that is located to compared to the rest of the data points. When they're all together and the data points fall pretty much the same on both sort of sides of the middle, then you would have a no skew distribution. Here's an example of a distribution with skew. Okay, so in this case, right, most of the people are scoring high and a few people are scoring low. Okay, so this is an example of a skewed distribution. Okay, in particular, this distribution is known as having negative skew. Negative skew. And that's because the skew refers to where the mean falls, right? So here we have the mode, right? And the mean gets pulled towards these outliers like we talked about before, okay? So here's the mean. The mean is getting sucked down towards these lower scores, and that's creating negative skew. And the opposite of negative skew is obviously positive skew. In positive skew, so here's the mode, the mean gets pulled towards these higher scores. Okay? And you can think of it as where the tail of the distribution is. So this area down here is sometimes called the tail. So if you think about it as a dinosaur, roar, right? Its tail goes down here, and that tail indicates where the skew is. And so this is negative skew, or sometimes it's also called left skew, because that's the side that the dinosaur's tail is on. Now for this dinosaur over here, right, roar, you can see that his tail is moving to the right, so this would be an example of right skew or positive skew. Now there is another type of distribution that doesn't have skew at all. That doesn't have skew at all, and that is sometimes called a multimodal distribution. So here's frequency, here's the scores. Okay. In a multimodal distribution, there are two modes, right? There are two high points. And if this was symmetrical, which I guess it could be, so here's mode, here's the mode 1, mode 2, and then in between them there's this sort of valley, and so I didn't draw it very well, but if you'd imagine that this is symmetrical, the mean would actually fall right here in between the two. So the mean sort of splits the difference. And this would be an example of a bimodal distribution or a multimodal distribution. And this is really the reason why we graph things out, is to understand the shape of the distribution and to determine whether or not skew exists just by graphically sort of looking at it. And graphs are a really great way of taking a first look at data. All right, thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next video.